I feel like having a baby was what got me sober and metamorphosized my entire like body and mind, right? And I don't know where I would have fucking been without that, honestly. I don't even know if like my husband would have been like stayed married to me. Like it's very dark stuff, but at the same time, like I was sort of baptized, like physically and spiritually because of that. And it doesn't have to hurt. Like I always thought that change had to hurt in order to feel comfortable, or not comfortable, but effective. And now I'm realizing that the right change for you, if you're living authentically and if you're doing things that feel right, it'll just feel more simple. And it's all heading into, I like what Nick was saying, is sort of in a deeper direction as we are talking about these episodes, right? So this episode, to sort of
segue back into it.
I'll try.
Before we do, just because you mentioned something that I think is important for anybody. You talk about like it doesn't have to hurt. Things don't have to hurt.
Right.
I will say though, most positive change is uncomfortable.
Oh, it's uncomfortable, but it doesn't have to. It doesn't have to draw so much from you that it's toxic.
No,
I guess my point.
100%.
Yeah, it should be like uncomfortable, but not toxic.
So I every month I fast 3 days, right? And that's become a new thing for me. And when you fast, you realize real quickly that hunger isn't exactly what we think hunger is. And what I mean by that is like in our society, we're constantly numbing ourselves or sedating ourselves with food, even while we're here on set. We're constantly munching. And it's like we feel the tiniest bit of hunger and we think, I got to eat. It's like, no, you actually don't have to eat. That's just a state that you're feeling. It's just a feeling. It's just a state, but it's not telling you that you have to eat. And the more that you can endure that you actually allow your body to go through some really amazing changes that are good for you. So the point is that when you feel pain, you don't have to numb the pain or push it away. No, let it happen. And positive change comes from that pain.
Like having agency over your pain.
Because it forces you to do things that you otherwise wouldn't do or wouldn't experience. So like one of my things is, be uncomfortable.
Yes.
I don't want to be comfortable. Comfortable kills you.
Well, because I think and this is like from growing up in the business, a lot of things end up becoming transactional, like even just in regular life. Like you're like, what am I getting out of this, right? Yeah. And that's important because that's the way that you survive. But at the same time, if you start to trick yourself into saying, okay, self-care would actually be transactional because I would end up benefiting from doing the right thing, I do think you can start to build up from not truly understanding how to take care of yourself. That's just been my personal thing. But I talk a lot about this already, which is why I think I'm primed to be able to speak through the microphone about this. And I know it's probably really uncomfortable for other folks that may not be talking about this as freely. But I've been very blessed in that I actually have a lot of support from at least my fan base. And I feel like the folks that feel like we were their childhoods will do nothing but give you the love that you deserve to, Nick and Steven, where, people are just happy to see you, like around and strong and alive.
Well, and I think that's the risk that you have to take. Like we're talking about how, Steven had this edge, like little dangerous, he walked into the room and wasn't afraid to try something off the wall, right? Unpredictable is actually the term that Matt Dearborn used. And I think that you have an obligation to yourself throughout life to not be so concerned with how people think of you or how they remember you or what they have to say about you, because then you can never really truly live and find out what you're supposed to be like. And even like what we were talking about sometimes, like when you
do the work and don't think about the results.
Well, you kind of go into that voice, that character voice that you like, and that is almost a crutch in itself, right? Yeah. And it's like,
what works. You do your shtick.
No, you know what works. You know what worked.
Yeah.
Right?
Your shtick.
Shtick. But you have to kind of keep playing with new ideas and find out
Reinventing
who
yourself,
you really are right now. And that's something
that is going to change on a daily basis.
It's exactly. And it doesn't stop no matter how young or old you are. You're constantly confronted with that. Right. And it's like, I think the one thing I know we're so far off this episode right now, but
you want to give me a noogie to make you feel better?
let me just kiss you.
Oh. Well, I mean, I was trying to, segue back into scrub day.
Oh, back into scrub day?
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
well, let's scrub
With
your
the
head. We'll get back to it. Yeah, anyway, I
we'll
think...
continue this topic, too.
Yeah. So
I
think that it's like, the one thing that's different now for most people from at least my parents' generation is that you spent most of your life trying to become an expert at something. You wanted to be a professional at something because then you had a title that you can grow into, and in a way it's positive because it's like if someone like asks what you do, you have an answer. I know who I am. I know what my life is about. I've studied this. I have a degree. I'm a professional. And that's really valuable because then you have this you can only fall so far because you have this like level of confidence about who you are. But the reality is that doesn't make you anything. And people are confronted with that midlife crisis because they finally have to deal with the fact. They
fell so far off their path.
Like, oh my God, I don't really know who I am. I say this is who I am, but I don't really know who I am. And so no matter what title you carry, you're still confronted with that at some point in your life. Becoming a mom is one of those huge moments where it's like, holy shit.
Yeah, that's why when there's certain types of moms that I can accept, but I don't see myself in. And that's sometimes a bit of a red flag. And I'm like, okay, I can't have that energy. They're not part of my tribe, but I can still accept them because they're still moms, right? And so we still have some similarities, but not all moms are the same. And so there are certain things about that you can either be baptized by it, or very rarely that I've seen it doesn't happen that way. So we are so fucking far off from this.
I know, but
we've got to get back. We've got literally 5 minutes.
We got 5 minutes left.
Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and redirect.
But there's a lot of transformation.
I will not accept you talking about the transformation.
I'm not. Listen, I'm talking about the episode, okay?
Oh, you are?
Because all this stuff that we're talking about is about transformation. And in this episode,
and coming of age.
Yeah. Exactly. There's all these transformations that happen in this
and
story.
Metamorphosize
with Shy's character Lewis
coming of age.
Exactly, this
Hell
coming of age moment.
Here,
Come
bro.
on, I got this. I Gandhi.
It is the change of life.
Yes.
Which was
Abe Lincoln. Abe Lincoln.
Okay, this had to be for me. Honestly,
it was a really good. And that's like we talk about this.
It was one of my
your B story.
I enjoyed this episode a lot, not just because I was in it so much.
I was not in it at all. Which I was out there living my life.
It's a bit of art mimicking life here.
Yes,
for you.
I got to recreate myself quite a bit and play all these different roles.
So funny.
Which I gotta say, my Rocky impersonation was pretty damn good.
That was a
yeah, that was a good one. I was shirtless a lot, which was not uncommon for me.
Did they oil you up?
No. I just did a bunch of push-ups to sweat it up.
Yeah, did you have to get into shape? Did you do like knowing you'd be shirtless a lot in the show? I
didn't have to get into shape, but I guarantee you,
that.
anytime I was off camera, I was probably pumping out some push-ups for sure, for sure.
So basically, like, it's a hazing from the 8th graders to the 7th graders. And originally it's all of the 7th grade. So everyone's freaking out. Tawny, Twitty, and Lewis mostly are very much feeling threatened. And then, of course, Larry Beale, Eric Youngman's character, Ivan.
Yeah.
They're hilarious.
So good.
Oh, wait a minute. I think we actually... Oh, no, is that Foodzilla that we see Brandon Baker? Where do we see Brandon Baker? That's Foodzilla.
I don't even know what Brandon Baker is.
I don't know that.
He's Johnny fucking Tsunami.
Oh, yeah, that guy. That's one after
love
this.
him.
I think that's one after this episode.
I have no idea.
One thing, though, I don't know if we'd be able to do Scrub Day in today's era.
Oh, let's talk about it.
Because
we started by talking about bullying.
Yeah.
And then we went around.
And
Here we go.
Just recently in the news, there was that one college campus where a kid actually died from a hazing ritual, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's not just once.
There's been a couple of them, right? So would we be able to do Scrub Day?
Well, I think that hazing has definitely changed on college campuses, but it's definitely not gone. But I think what's interesting about this is when I watched it, I thought there's no way you had these hazings going on in middle school. But I do love Principal Wexler's kind of like support of this whole thing.
Oh, it's horrible.
I mean, it really made it.
He's like, good luck, bitches.
Yeah,
it's like
really,
the Purge.
Really made it funny.
That's what he kind of made it like.
Yeah, it was totally the Purge.
That was parents' attitude back then, though, wasn't it? I mean, that was my parents. It was like, it'll make a man out of you. That type of shit.
You keep acting like this happened 50 years ago. It wasn't that.
Well, it was 25 years ago. Okay,
well, a lot has
for you
changed
might
in
be
terms
50.
of the bullying. Like the bullying thing has definitely changed since then.
Thanks so much for watching this episode of the Even More Stevens podcast. For clips from our pod, go ahead and check out the PodCo YouTube channel. Links in the description.